Good afternoon, TOP Nation, and welcome to TOP Be Inspired in 5. I'm Elder Marcus Hogan, and I just want to offer you a quick word of inspiration on today. My thought today comes from 2 Kings chapter number 7, from a story of 4 lepers that sat outside of a city and they had a conversation with themselves, and the conversation went something like this: hey man, if we sit here and do what we've been doing all along, we'll die. And if we go in and we take our chances and go into the city, we'll die anyways. So I tell you what, they made up within themselves and within their own mind to say, if I sit here and I'm gonna die, and if I go, I'll die, then I'll take my chances on my motion. And so they decided to move forward. My word for you today is forward. No matter what you do in life, at the end of the day, the consequences of life may end up in success and may end up in failure. But I tell you what, you'll never know until you try. What I want you to do is fixate your mind on something you've been wrestling with or toiling with. And sometimes we try to talk ourselves out of just going. Sometimes we try to talk ourselves out of just doing. Sometimes we try to talk ourselves out of just pursuing. To the point of where we just sit in one place outside of a city, right next to our promise. Because what's amazing is that once they made up in their mind to go into the city, they didn't even realize that God already had a plan in action. He had already sent the angels of the Lord to cause a sound to come into the city, so much so that everyone in the city became afraid and left. They left everything. They left the gold. They left the food. They left the cattle. They left everything. And so these 4 men who sat outside of a city by themselves and said, should we sit here and die or should we go and die? When they walk into the city, they walk into a plethora, a treasury, an entire place that had been abandoned just for them. But they accessed it because they went into their forward season. I came to admonish you on today. Whatever you have in your heart to do in this new year, in 2022, whatever you've been sitting on, whatever you've been still about, I came to give you a word, and that word is one word: forward. Get your feet together, get your mind together, and get in action according to what is already in your heart to do. If you sit there, you're going to die anyways, which just means that if you sit there, you will not accomplish anything anyways. And sometimes the enemy will make us afraid to fail, to say if we try, we'll fail. But I want you to understand, if you try and you fail, then you haven't failed, because God judges. Number one, when we set out, we're setting out with God on our side. But he's waiting on us to start our forward. I admonish you, whatever you set your mind to do, remember, it is your season to move forward.